Last Wednesday, reason just barely won out over populist stupidity. Despite Emperor Harper's best efforts, including bringing in the NRA, Canada's gun registry was saved by a mere 2 votes. Given that the registry has been proven many times to save lives, and is not a particularly big inconvenience, the fact that we came that close to having very little gun control in Canada is really scary. In terms of taking apart the talking points, let's start with the one brought up most often, its cost. It's true that when this was created in the 90s, the initial cost was about $1 or $2 billion, at least as much as the Harper government spent on the pointless G8G20 summits, I might add. However, by now the annual cost is something like $20 million, which today is like a drop in the bucket. If the Harper conservatives were anywhere near as serious about wasteful spending as they claim to be, then the cost point might actually be valid. But let's face it, this year alone they've spent tens of billions of dollars on prisons that won't be needed, security that doesn't make cities safe, beings that are barely held, and Arctic jets that won't work in the Arctic. Oh, and stimulus money that's gone mostly to glorified campaign signs for the Conservative Party, let's not forget that. Or the untold cash that will be flushed down the drain if and when they scrap the census. Which leads me to point number 2. Contrary to what the Harper cons claim, the police use the gun registry every single day, at least if the chiefs are to be believed. I'm not kidding, there are hundreds, maybe thousands, of police agencies, hospitals, women's groups, child protection agencies, victims advocates, religious groups, city and provincial agencies, all saying that this registry has been able to prevent murders and suicides. Is it perfect? Of course not. There are a lot of other guns that don't have to be registered, and of course if a gun is stolen or the owner doesn't register it, then it wouldn't show up on the database anyway. Then there are the idiot judges who think that 2 days in jail is a good sentence for murder, which doesn't help things. However, to say that the registry makes little to no difference is completely untrue. The funny thing is that not only does the Harper government claim to be tough on crime, but most of the time they think that the police can do no wrong. Yet when those same police say the gun registry works, the Tories either silence them outright or just call them a liberal cult. What else is new? The other thing that I don't really get is gun owners supposedly being made to feel like criminals. I'll admit right here, I don't own a gun, recreational shooting doesn't interest me, and I'm in no position to legitimately need a rifle, though I do recognize that some people do. But my understanding is that registering a long gun pretty much just needs you to fill out a form and pay a fee, so it sounds pretty much like getting a passport, birth certificate, or driver's license. If the same legal gun owners complain about the registry have no problem with registering their car or getting a social insurance number, then why is it so unreasonable to keep track of machines specifically designed to kill? By the way, why is Stephen Harper complaining about the gun registry anyway? After all, not only does it help stop crime, but he personally has voted in favor of the registry on other occasions. And what's this stuff about only being wanted by supposed Toronto elites? From what I could tell, it's being supported by MPs, social advocates, governments, doctors, and cops from across the country, including the RCMP. And incidentally, Stephen Harper and his senior-most cabinet ministers are all from Toronto or the surrounding area, and pretty much his whole caucus has university degrees. Could it be even more grandstanding for an election and trying to screw a public that doesn't check the facts? No, Harper would never do that. Look, Harpo, you complain endlessly about everyone else supposedly being soft on crime, but your party wants to take away some of the tools that have already put a very big dent in it. You complain endlessly that no one else has a vision or respect for democracy, yet even after Canadians have made it repeatedly clear that they want this registry, you won't listen to them. You lost. After a rigged fight, I might add. Get over it, and let's move on to more important things, like figuring out why you've spent $26 billion and counting on projects that do no good whatsoever for this country, or figuring out what role your office played in the police brutality and violation of Canadian liberties at the G20 summit, or what role your office had and then covered up in the torture of our Afghan war prisoners. Yeah, that's right, we haven't forgotten about that. I suppose that means you're going to try to silence or slander us cross-country all-classes elites as well, huh? Well, that's not it for me.